Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Chairman of the Commission, Federal Permanent Secretaries, and all our distinguished guests who are here. It is my pleasure to stand before you this afternoon to speak about, or rather to moderate the session on environment, climate resilience, and sustainability. Yes, I'm the Chief of Staff to the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Okeze Carlos, CFR. But I also moonlight as, a resource person on climate issues in Nigeria. My academic work over time has been in the climate environment, and I'm very glad to discuss this with you. As has been said, of course, she'll be joining us virtually shortly, our lead presenter for this session in the person of Favor, just a minute, Ibironke Olubamiche Favor. I will introduce her shortly. She's already online. Favor, could you confirm that you can hear us? Awesome. So I'll be calling you up shortly as soon as I introduce the session. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, in the last couple of days, we've gathered here to craft a vision, a 2050 vision for the Southeast, a vision of industrial clusters. We've had fantastic and amazing presentations on smart cities, a booming digital economy, but these are all aspirational, what we want to do by 2050. But I have been tasked with the uncomfortable job of asking you, ladies and gentlemen, people of the Southeast, where are we going to build these amazing things that we have all agreed that we are going to build in the next 25 years? Where is the land? Our land is wiping away. Erosion is doing a big number on us. There are 2,800 active erosion sites in Southeast Nigeria. 2,800, let that sink in. Anambra State alone has over 1,000 active erosion sites. Our land is disappearing. So what we are doing here today is not a session on environment. It's a session on survival. Because if we do not have land where all of these fantastic things we're talking about are going to be built, then we'll finish the plan and there will be nowhere to site them, So, we are facing an existential threat of geology. We're the most densely populated region in Nigeria after Lagos. People have gone through all the statistics, so in the interest of time, I probably wouldn't be going through all of that again, but it's key to note. If you think of Lagos and how densely populated it is, the Southeast as a region as a whole comes second. We've been told we're 25 million people here, and we're squeezed into a narrow space. Our land is precious. So the one we have, it is imperative, ladies and gentlemen, that we preserve it, that we sustain it, and that we ensure that we do not lose it. So, what is the paradox of development? We crave industrialization. Ijoma is very passionate about Nnewi. We want factories in Nnewi. I am, of course, passionate about Aba. We want more markets in Aba. But our current model of urbanization is the worst enemy of our environment. That is the honest truth. When we, pave our roads and build our roads and we do not put drainages, when we block our natural waterways with plastic that come out of our markets, we are not developing. We are creating the enabling environment for disaster. That is the honest truth that we must tell ourselves. The floods that have been happening in recent times, they are not accidents. They were bound to happen because of our lifestyle and the things that we do. They were receipts for the environmental debts that we have incurred over decades. We cannot continue like this. We must change our ways. And there is a cost for inaction. We often treat the environment like it is an afterthought. Let's make money first, or let's survive first. When we finish making money, we start discussing climate change and all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an afterthought. It's not something you discuss afterwards. The environment is the economy. It is the environment that you build all of these amazing things on. Every hectare of farmland washed away is food security lost. Every road cut off by gully is access to communities that have been lost. Every city submerged by flooding is economic opportunities completely lost. So, as we are discussing Vision 2050, please let us be clear. This is a regional survival session. Without a sustainable environment, there is no Vision 2050. If we do not save our environment, there will be nowhere to build all of these things that we are planning to build. So at this point, to help us navigate these complex factors, I'll be bringing in, like I said earlier on, she's already online, our lead presenter, Dr. Favor Ibironke Olubamiche. She's a conservation and environmental management expert with over 30 years of experience. She's currently serving as a pioneer national coordinator of the United Nations Development Project Global Environmental Facility Small Grants Program in Nigeria, where she oversees one of the largest country programs globally. She has led capacity building for over 150 civil society organizations and supported more than 220 environmental projects across 240 communities in 30 states. And she previously headed the technical program at the Nigerian Conservation Foundation. She is a Chevening Scholar of the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office, and also an alumnus of both the, just like I am, hi Favor, of the United States International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP, and of course also the Sustainability Challenge Foundation of the Netherlands. Ronke has worked to drive a paradigm shift, taking responsibility for the sustainable management of our environment and natural resources. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you put your hands together for Favor Ibironke Oluwabamiche, she will be able to speak to us. Favor, please. Thank you. Let's have your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Thank you so much. I just want to share my.
Yes, we can see it. If you can put it in full screen mode.
All right. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
I hope that's going. All right. Mr. Moderator, thank you very much. And it's happening for me to also learn that we are colleagues on the IDLP. Thank you very much. The Honorable Chair of the SEVC, the Executive Governors of the Southeast Development, Southeast State, and I want mitigation. But now it is adaptation because it is all already on us. It is not something we are preventing now, but it is something we have to adapt to. So we're talking of climate-proofed roads, flood-resilient drainage systems, and bridges, and even buildings, houses, and all that, including agricultural practices. Then nature-based solutions, including watershed management and catchment restoration, agroforestry for slope stabilization, wetland and riparian buffer restoration to reduce flood peaks. These are some of the things that we'll have to look into in depth as we continue to discuss this issue and we take practical actions. Integrated approaches, climate resilience infrastructure with nature-based solutions for cost-effective resilience, community-based maintenance and monitoring. And when you talk of community based, it has also is something that we have, which I believe everybody would want to agree with me now. There is no policy that we develop if the communities are not part of it, if they don't have their own responsibilities, they are not clear on their own responsibilities on what to do. Based on experience that I'm sharing with us, it is just a matter of time if they even agree to work with you at the beginning. So aligning solutions with livelihood is very, very important. Like the minister, just going back to what Mr. Moderator also emphasized. If we don't, I said, human development depends on nature. Human development depends on nature. And climate change is a global phenomenon that is changing the trajectory. When we say businesses, of course, the Southeast is known for is the basis and the stronghold for businesses as far as Nigeria is concerned. There is no doubt about that. But we have discovered now that we can't continue with the status quo because, like he said, and others may have also said, it is very important that if human beings are not at the forefront, or especially the communities are not part of this development, then it's just it's not going to be sustainable. Let me just put it briefly like that. So UNDP experience, of course, we have provided hybrid solutions for higher resilience, lower life cycle costs, and stronger community ownership. Because when there's community ownership, most of us that are devising the solutions for these communities, they don't live, we don't live in the communities. So it is important that community ownership is anchored. I mean, whatever development solutions we are preferring, stronger community ownership is very important. Then, of course, there is need for, which is also based on our experience, comprehensive risk assessment. Critical for project bankability. If we're going to look for, start what is called bond, I will talk a little bit about that later. Then whatever solution we are preferring must be what, of course, businesses and environmentalists and all of us that are concerned with environment, because we studied it, because now everybody is supposed to be an environmentalist. When we want to talk together with businesses, if it doesn't affect attracts the banks to be able, or whoever, the finance institution, to be able to say, okay, there's this in this, there's this, there's how do I call it? There is opportunities in these, then of course we're not talking. So embedded climate adaptation in state development plans, like he said also, it is not an afterthought. Inculcating environmental issues into development plans should not be an afterthought. It should be actually the basis on which we are going to develop any solution for adaptation or for climate programs. Is also very, very important between environment, the ministries that are dealing directly with natural resources, land and water and other. So we need strong coordination between the environment ministries, the works, finance, and all the planning ministries. It's very, very essential. Then integrated erosion flood control project under the UNDP supported. This I'm just giving this as an example in Anambra State, which is one of the experiences we have had in the working with in the Southeast and some other places. So also based on our experience, community-led ecosystem restoration linked to state-level infrastructure investments, very important. And also capacity building for all the MDAs is very important. If you don't train them, you don't blame them, like they say. So what are the roadmaps that we have tried to come up with? Translating policies into projects is very, very important. Also based on experience, like I've mentioned before, you will develop policies and the people who are going to implement the policies, most of the time, now things are changing and I'm happy about that. Most of the time, they are not even aware of policies that are being developed that will affect their own lifestyles. So it's very important. We have to find ways to turn policies to investment-ready projects concept. Then use climate risk screening and cost benefits analysis early, just like we have emphasized earlier. Early, not later. We have to do it, incorporate it from the beginning. And then, of course, we come up with structure bankable projects that can have clear revenue on savings or savings logic, avoided losses, as well as service fees and co-benefits. So phased implementation, of course, these problems are so gigantic that at times it's like, so where do we start from? But of course, we can always start. Like I always say, we have low-hanging fruits of issues and projects that can be implemented in the communities. And then, of course, it makes the communities to know that the government is now thinking about development, not just from the government office, but considering the people on the ground as well. So strong safeguards and monitoring frameworks are very also important that needs to be put in place. And in terms of financing, of course, these days now we have several, with even what is happening globally now, blended financing is the outlook that people are now looking at. Then, of course, blended finances form of state budget, climate funds, development finance, they are all out there. But the comprehensive and integrated approach to manage this is what we attract these finances to the state or to the project, as the case may be. So we have access to the Global Climate Fund, Adaptation Fund, and other concessional windows are available that the state can tap into actually. And then, of course, we have the PPP, the public-private partnership, and result-based financing where viable. All these are opportunities that are available for us to explore. So in terms of our own role as UNDP, of course, which many will agree with, technical assistance and project preparation is one area that we can pride ourselves that we can support states and whether the SEDC as a whole or states as individuals. Then connecting states to global climate finance and partnership, like the ones that I mentioned earlier under financing, is also something that is possible that the UNDP can assist the SEDC or the states to access based on proper preparation. So with UNDP support, Southeast can turn climate risk into resilience, financiable, and development opportunities. So I will stop here and then I will still be online so that we can discuss this further as necessary. Thank you very much for having me to share these ideas with you. I'm here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Favor Ibironke Olubamiche. Could you kindly make the applause louder for her? That way she feels warm and appreciated. Thank you very much. So at this point, we are going to go into the audience participation in this segment. So what I would like us to do is not necessarily maybe to ask questions and all of that, but we have rapporteurs who are taking notes. This is a knowledge session, and then we are extracting best practices that will be embedded in the document that will come out of this program. Again, climate is a critical component of whatever we are planning, because we have to still be here for every of these developmental plans to work out. So we would like you to kindly put on your thinking cap and let the contributions be, recommendations of what you think can be done to solve some of this problem. But before we go into that, we will just, look at what is already in existence. That way it assists us to know what recommendations that we can make, because we are going from where we are to where we want to be. Where are we? We have NEWMAP, the Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Program in every state. It actually originated from the Southeast. Newsflash, NEWMAP was created for Abia State, but again, it was expanded to other states and it was moved nationwide, as is always the case. We also have the ecological funds. We are all aware of that. The Permanent Secretary, Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs is here, Dr. Madoka Onwusoro, and that's, part of what they deal with. We also have, of course, the Permanent Secretary, Petroleum here. We have the ecological funds, yet these problems still persist. So is our problem a lack of funds or a lack of coordination? The question we should now be answering is, how does Southeast Vision 2050 fix the governance problem in our ecological challenge, bearing in mind all these layers that we already have? If we have waste experts in the room, we would like to hear your recommendations. Aba and Onitsha, Nnewi and Co., we generate thousands of tons of waste daily. Waste is a menace. So how do we realistically, ladies and gentlemen, mind the word, how do we realistically convert our waste into energy required to power the industrial revolution that we speak? I emphasize this because we have this, fantastic idea of what we should be doing with our waste to energy. But it is very important that we also be mindful of the kind of waste we generate in our region. The waste that they convert to energy in the developed countries that we like to quote, those are, paper, those are plastic, those are recyclable waste. What kind of waste do we generate in the Southeast? It's organic waste, it's compost, it's ogo and poto and all of that mixed together. How are we realistically able to convert that into energy? And of course, our building and our construction, how do we future-proof them? How do we ensure that our spatial development is not harming our environment? In 2012, Denmark, Copenhagen, they had what they called cloud burst. You can Google that, cloud burst. And it was sustained rainfall for 3 days, and it led to ankle-length flooding in Copenhagen. Don't laugh. So the Danish government, sent for 14 global experts to come to Copenhagen and dissect the situation and make recommendations. I was lucky, well, not lucky, I had studied for it. So I was one of those that were selected from Nigeria to come to Denmark and, be part of the research process. And we did. And we made recommendations which they later published into the Danish cloud burst implementation strategy. And they've implemented it ahead of any other future such event, and they've never had any other flooding from 2012 till date. Why? Because they had plans, they implemented them. What did they plan? They removed, concrete, tars in their major roads and had deliberate greening so that when the rain falls, there is outlet for water to percolate and sink into the sand and not run on an empty road. We've had people come here to make presentations about the housing estates that they are going to build. Please, can we ensure that our housing estates have green areas and not allocate every available plot of land that we see and we start building shops and we start building sheds? We are market people, agreed. But SEDC, as we plan for the future, can we deliberately ensure that we are mapping out green areas that will ensure that we do not develop everywhere and not have green areas. Proper stormwater evacuation. As part of our plan, can we ensure that every road that is being built has drainages so that water can be properly evacuated and taken to where it should be? So, of course, if I come on stage, as a rule, I'm also an inclusion and accessibility champion. So I know that it should be somewhere in one of the subgroups that are planned, MDSA and all the SCDC people. Please, part of the report of this program that we are doing, let there be a deliberate inclusivity plan so that our underserved society, people with disabilities can say that in the Southeast plan, we can also plan that this region by 2050 will be one of the most inclusivity-friendly regions in the whole, in fact, the most inclusivity-friendly region in the whole Nigeria by 2050. Can we do that? Because we've had, if you want to clap, please clap so that it sounds like I'm making sense. Aha, thank you. So the region can be the most inclusive region. All the developments that we want to do, we can ensure that we have wheelchair accessibility, all the buildings, all the roads, all the facilities, we will ensure that they have wheelchair accessibility. That's just by the way, but I needed to add that. So now, if I can have our people help us with the microphone, we are going to go into the audience and then we'll take a few, again, not lamentations, not complaints of what has been. This is a solution conversation. It's a solution session. From your experience, from what you know about the climate, about the environment, what do you think? Bang, 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 recommendations. What recommendations do you think should be included in the document that we are producing that has to do with the environment, that has to do with climate resilience? And I'm very sure that our rapporteurs are taking note. Part of the recommendations from this session is that the Southeast Development Commission will have a chief resilience officer. This is my own recommendation now, while I wait for yours. Southeast Development Commission should have as one of its officials a chief resilience officer whose duty it is to ensure that every plan, irrespective of the sector, will have a resilience plan embedded in it. As you are planning roads, there is a resilience plan for those roads. As you are planning spatial development, as you are planning energy projects, as you are planning rail lines, there is a resilience to ensure there is provision for shocks and stress, which is what resilience is all about, So we are coming into the Congo is breathing down my neck. All right. At this point, I've been asked to recognize a former chief of staff to the governor of Osun State and former SSA to the president on the blue economy, who is also, of course, the managing director of the Southwest Development Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Dr. Charles Akinola. Dr. Akinola, are you here? Thank you very much for coming to join us. And of course, I had earlier mentioned that he's here, but perhaps for him to be properly and formally introduced, let's also make warm the chairman of the board of the Southeast Development Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, Wadiala Dr. Chukwuemeka Ngozi Chineke Wogu, PhD, CON. Mr. Chairman, we're glad to have you here. And of course, several members of the board of the commission have been here from the beginning, and they are all kindly and gratefully recognized. So at this point, like I said, I'm coming into the audience and we'll be taking recommendations. Thank you very much once again, Favor, for everything that you recommended. Watershed management, having access to available finance out there, blended finance. There are green climate funds that the Southeast can develop, can benefit from if we do certain things right. There are climate funds, there are green funds, and all of that. So at this point, I come to the audience. If you have a contribution, once again, I would like to clarify that. If you have a contribution, you can ask questions, of course, to me, to Favor is fine. But I would favor more, Favor is here, and I'll favor more contributions and suggestions. This is a solutions segment. So I've seen a few hands, and we'll start Let's take someone that has not spoken. You've spoken earlier on. So let me recognize someone that has not spoken to open the floor. Your name and your contribution, 1 minute, straight to the point, please. Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon all. Thank you for the privilege to have my opinion heard in this great gathering. My submission is this.
Your name, sir?
My name is Igwe Chukwemeka Charles. So, looking at the topography and the geographical area that we now today are Southeast, you will realize that there's a pattern of building that has continuously been our style of building, and that pattern of building has always been uniform. So I'm of the opinion that Southeast Development Commission should consider building more of a tall building rather than making it versatile, building a tall building that can accommodate a whole lot of flats in order to preserve land for agriculture, for industrial parks, for all that things that can bring development. You see that if you continue to make it as in building estate and all these things, you find out that it is a shortage of a limited land.
Thank you, thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. He's favoring vertical development rather than horizontal. He's saying those that want to go into development, because our land is not enough, we shouldn't spread wide and just keep building. Rather, we should consider vertical development and build high rises with elevators. Our high rises will come with elevators in Jesus' name. Aha. Who's next? I'll come back. Let me move to another part. Yes, our beautiful woman from Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. She has been here from day one. Thank you so very much for your kind participation, ma'am, and all your contributions are duly appreciated. Please pass her the mic. The quicker you get the mic to her, the quicker it is. Please raise your hand again. Let them see you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I always believe in thinking outside the box. And to that effect...
Sorry, ma'am, your name?
My name is Dr. Lady Adachukwu Dozie, and I'm the chairman of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Southeast, covering Anambra, Enugu, and Ebonyi states. And the chairman of Keystone Bank Limited. So I want to propose a simple, locally thought out solution that we need to solve our local problems with local solutions. And to that effect, I think that this environmental challenge should be seen as an opportunity where it has to do with erosion. And I'm thinking that a regional bamboo-based ecosystem approach.
Sorry, say that again, ma.
A regional bamboo-based ecosystem approach where bamboo plantations are deliberately deployed for erosion control, land restoration, and climate resilience, while simultaneously feeding value chain industries such as construction materials, furniture, pulp, bioenergy, and handcrafts, and carbon credit ecosystem. So if we deliberately make plantation of bamboo trees as part of our regional plan, or put it into our blueprint of what every region that is, challenged should do, that will engender another kind of industry for our people. So the bamboo trees will help even the region to earn carbon credits, whereas we'll also be solving the natural problems.
Thank you,
other industries can erupt from that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. That was very enlightened. A bamboo, locally thought out solution, regional bamboo ecosystem. Plantations, they have the advantage of helping us with our climate resilience, and then we can also benefit from green funds for that innovation. Please keep Favor online. She will give us her closing thoughts after she has put together all the thoughts that have come from the audience. As an expert, you'll be able to give a quick closing thought on that. But I come back to the audience. I'd like to take row by row. I've taken this row. Anybody on that row? Yes. Who has our microphone? The young lady is doing very well. Can we put our hands together for her? But if I have another gentleman on the other side, it reduces her journey and traffic. I've seen a lot of volunteers, so I'm sure we can have another one on the other side. That makes it faster. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir. Your name, sir?
Okay, my name is Obigwe Chukwuebuka Nwadike. I came in from Okigwe this morning.
Thank you.
Part of my contribution on the climate change, particularly this year, if we observe, there wasn't Harmattan this year. I don't know if it was so in Enugu. And I'm concerned because if I can remember my secondary school biology, I was told that wind is one of the agents of pollination. So this means that this year we are probably going to have high cost of fruits. Now that's by the way. My contribution is we used to have an agent practice of whenever a baby is born, we plant a tree. That is, we give a palm tree to the newborn baby. So can we restore that practice now that we have urbanization, we're building houses, and then that means we are cutting down trees. So can we have a way of replenishing what we deprive the earth of? Now that is one. And
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. We'll take that. His recommendation was that we go back to the old practice where we plant a tree for every baby that is born. Why not? We can absolutely do that. I will expand that thought by saying that we should encourage deliberate reforestation and even preservation of our current forests. Please let as part of our plan and as part of our recommendation, let us incentivize cutting down of our trees for use as firewood. Most of our rural dwellers, firewood is still their major source of fire, so to speak. So we can, incentivize the use of other fire alternatives, clean cook stoves and those other things if we can penetrate. So those are the high programs that can have the wider effect of preserving our environment. De-incentivize cutting of trees, enforce deliberate reforestation for places where we have cut down our trees, and then deliberate greening practices. Yes, sir, you were the first to raise your hand. It would be unfair not to recognize you. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon,
your name, sir?
Everyone. My name is Ganiru Okoro, and
Ganiru
Okoro,
interesting
from
name.
Imo State. So I'm going to go back a little to what the permanent secretary said, which is the foundation of the issues we have here. Most of us know what sustainability is all about, but the majority of the Southeast is not well informed. So even if we know what to do, how do we get these people in the hinterland to do it and believe in it? When you're telling someone that you should cook in a green way, he's telling you I haven't even eaten first. Why are you telling me about the environment? So I'll take a little road down history. Over the past 5 years, I worked with Chief Iwayanwu when he was the president of Ohanese on a sustainability roadmap for the Southeast. And I did a number of events. The first one was SDG 4, which was quality education. And I did an essay competition for the secondary school students in Ikeduru. And the topic was sustainability, sustainable development in Igbo land. Now, about 150 students wrote this essay. And by the time I read the scripts, I got to realize that half of them don't even know what sustainability is. And that's the grassroots of where we're going to. How do we get these people to even know? But by the time they did research for this essay, they are talking to their parents about sustainability. They are talking to their younger ones about sustainability. So we're able to create a bridge between the older ones and the younger ones, SS3, SS2 students. That's on one side. On the other one is SDG 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities. Again, telling people to build in a sustainable manner, is easier said than done, but I embarked on a project over the past 5 years again called the Crunchies Tour. So every Crunchies building that you've seen from 2020 till now was designed by me. And Crunchies has gone on a green revolution, which is reducing the size of their buildings to reduce the size of their generators, reduce the impact on the environment. What we were able to do was educate the builders. This is why we are doing this. Even though you didn't go to school to learn this, we are putting plastic bottles to reduce the insulation and reduce the temperature of your building so that we can reduce the impact on the climate. So grassroots orientation is the way forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can clap for him. Ganiru Okoro, early education on sustainability and then grassroots education. And I like what you said. When you teach those pupils in school about sustainability, of course, they go back home and they also teach their parents. And then when they see their parents engaged in harmful environmental practices, they are able to say, Daddy, Mommy, this thing you are doing is not good. It will harm our environment. I think it will have an impact if we're able to do that. So we'll take 2 more because we have 10 minutes for this session to end. I didn't recognize you earlier on. I'm sorry. The honorable member representing Newi, Idemili Federal Constituency, Honorable Uche Ani Okonkwo, is of course the deputy chairman of the House Committee on Health, a very great guy and a friend of us. So he's one of us. He's here. He's raising his hand. Please, let's put our hands together for him, even as we give him the microphone. This way, the gentleman in white and red cap, Honorable Uche Ani Okonkwo, member, House of Representatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to give my little input on this discussion. First of all, let me congratulate the Southeast Development Commission for this event. It is timely, and of course the conversations are to do with what we need to bring integration and bring prosperity to the Southeast. That being said, I'm on the committee on climate change in the House as well. And I just want to touch a little bit on what we have done within the past year. We have gone to several ministries to make sure and urge them to include a climate change desk across all their departments, across their agencies, in order for them to give us feedback on what exactly they're trying to do when it comes to climate change and climate change action, especially within Nigeria. It's very, very important to do that because climate change or climate action doesn't just fall within erosions or that. There's so much in order to discuss on that. Now, that being said, I'm also part of the virtual parliamentary roundtable on climate action, whereby we have virtual meetings on a regular basis, bi-weekly. And what we have seen is that the advocate for funding towards climate action has been very, very low. There are so many international partnerships, especially even the Paris agreements that has been made, but there is still a low advocacy towards funding. But I would want to charge the Southeast Development Commission, just take a page out of what some other countries are doing, all right? Make sure that a section of your budget, even if it's as little as 8%, 10% of the budget, should be towards climate action, okay? Should be towards activities to make sure that climate action is being addressed. Because when you see from 2020 to 2030, what the world needs is about $2.5 trillion input into climate action. And it cannot just fall on the development partners or agencies like UNDP to do that, but it falls on us that, and the executive especially, that can be able to work within their budgets to say that it is necessary to make it mandatory to have a certain percentage that will be channeled towards climate action and climate action initiatives. So thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Uche Ani Okonkwo. He advocated a climate change desk in all the initiatives that we're going to put forward. I had earlier asked for us to include a chief resilience officer, in the commission, and I'm very sure that the MD gets it. He knows what to do. Please, let's make welcome the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Dr. Vitalis Obi, MNI, as he makes his contributions. I'm an MNI, so I have to recognize another MNI. Dr. Obi, please, thank you. Let's put our hands together for him.
Thank you, distinguished. Thank you for your comment. Taking it from where he stopped. I actually speak to UNDP directly because it's not only the equitable part that UNDP brings to development planning in Nigeria, the governments, both the national, subnationals, to have their part to play. And we're speaking to recommendations or implementation strategies to solve a major problem that has been prevalent. It's clear. And UNDP's inroad into the sector has to do with through the Ministry of Planning and Budgeting. Before my stint at Petroleum, I was also Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. So I understood where UNDP is coming from. So that's why I'm pushing that UNDP, through her collaboration with UNEP, should also play a major driving strategic role in solving this problem within the Southeast geopolitical region. Now, through that, the development commissions, I'm happy Mr. Akinola is here, seated together with Mark himself, and these represent two development commissions, Southwest and Southeast. We also have two that are not also here. I think out of 6, North Central and Northeast, definitely. And the development commissions are supervised by the Ministry of Regional Development. So I want to charge UNDP through the Ministry of Budget and Planning and in collaboration with the Ministry of Regional Development to be able to now take a forefront and lead, come up with a strategic program that would help the development commissions put in their strategic plan, as we have seen SEDC Vision 2050, how to now take that strategic intervention to the grassroots and community area so as to engender a community-driven upward approach to solving this problem so that the community will own the solution. The community will have it domesticated in them and will be co-partner. That's why I spoke earlier to citizens' engagement and involvement at the strategy level. So it's not just an early discussion. UNDP, I know your role, I know the funds you bring in. Please put that on the table while encouraging the state governments to bring their own equity to it. Together, I know, and as the last speaker suggested, they should be able to bring solutions to it. And the solution that is practicable and implementable, if I use that word, is that the SEDC now, being my own commission, should midwife, together with the state government, in going down to the grassroots and drive the corrective solutions that will make the people now know through the Department of Town Planning at the subnational that they need to redesign, restructure the environmental program. Let the restructuring and remapping and redrawing environmental program guide the people to know where they need to site whatever structures they're doing. And if you are destroying properties and moving them or relocating them, adequate compensation should be given by the subnational government to the locals. But let locals to buy in into know that we don't need to build on waterways, we need to build on soccer way, we don't need to do this and do that. And then collaborate with the infrastructural development in driving the master plan in SEDC vision to now get us to where we are. It requires a will, political will. It requires the citizens buying too, and it requires the funding that she was mentioning about, the climate change funding, the green environment to buy into what I said earlier. People should also move from using fossil fuel and other forms of fuel that are degenerative to the atmosphere and get green energy, cleaner energy for their safety and environment. But most important of all is the human capital development to ensure that the people are trained from the cradle of knowledge to the tertiary knowledge, for them to have knowledge that will drive it. In that way, our citizens who are virile in entrepreneurship, who understand sustainability, will be able to now own that process, and the subnational government will be at rest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, very much. Let's put hands together for the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Petroleum, Dr. Vitalis Obi MNI. I'll just segue piggy on what you said about the political will, and I would like to make sure that we understand the significance of what happened here yesterday. 4 sitting governors of the Southeast were in the same room, and one was represented, 5 of them, and they were all here, and individually, they made a pledge that they were going to be a part of whatever is going to come out of here. It's not ordinary. It's unprecedented. And I think we should put our hands together for the Southeast Development Commission, for the managing director, the chairman, the members of the board, for synthesizing that level of synergy amongst the political class. Already, this program is a success. The people, PAMSEC talked about political will, and the people that should bring the political will have signed up they've made a commitment to say that we are a part of this. So that tells me that whatever recommendation we come up with at the regional level, it will be cascaded down to the states, and then they will adopt it and implement it. Thank you very much, PAMSEC. We'll take one more. Our time is up. So one final one. I would favor a lady. One final one. If I see a female hand, I'll accept it. Oga, are you female? You are raising violently. A female hand. There is a lady with a purple scarf back there. Yes, she is the last one. Again, all further contributions, please, technical group, if we can have a projection of the email address or the channels through which people can make their contributions whenever it comes on board, that will help. There you go. All the handles are there. If you have suggestions, contributions, please. This is a collective conversation, and we are co-creating the solution. So it's not anybody's role, it's everybody's role. So let's give the lady the microphone, please. Your name and your contribution, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Favor, we are coming to you shortly. In 1 minute, we will come to you for your closing thoughts, and then we'll wrap up. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. I am Dr. Mrs. Kene Ajumobi. I want to thank the organization, the organizers of this program, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I want to talk about, when we're talking about the environment, I expected you to say something about recycling, to encourage recycling.
But go ahead. Yeah,
because recycling will help us to reduce these cans, all these things that are using to flood the gutter, and it brings flood affecting our environment. So that is one. If government is trying to help the small-scale industries or help people to go into a manufacturing or anything industry, they can provide recycling machines to encourage people, more people to go into recycling. It will help us.
Thank you.
Thirdly,
actually, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thirdly, thank you. My brother there from Okigwe said something about planting palm trees. And I want to remind us a song we used to hear when we were much younger. In the radio, they used to say, Jez onye nkwu, Jez onye nkwu, onye ọbụna Jez onye nkwu, zonye otu, zonye ọgụ, zonye rinne, aye mere ya na mbu.
We should be clapping for her now.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. That was a spirited contribution, and this is noted. Ms. Ibironke Bamishile, if you can kindly give us your closing thoughts, then we'll wrap up this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. What a rich section, and I really like some of the contributions. I think one of the things that I just want to suggest, and of course, based on our work, what we do in Nigeria, is that I think following what you suggested about a chief resilience officer, which is very, very vital, the UNDP is ready to support to produce a master plan for.
Can we put our hands together? I'm sure somebody is taking note of this. Thank you.
Yeah, so the UNDP is ready to support a master plan for the entire Southeast Development Commission through the SEDC, of course, for the entire Southeast. And I'm sure, we started to speak with some of the development commissions, and we have already started thinking about it and putting our thoughts together on how to do that. And like I said, this is a very good initiative by the SCDC, and I bet you that the UNDP is ready to roll with you to produce a master plan that all the states can now latch onto and use that to, adapt it to their different peculiarities. And following that, I am also saying that the UNDP, based on our experience, not even outside of Nigeria, even in Nigeria, we have the master plan will contain a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects, supports, and all that, including climate change, disaster risk reduction, and all that. But also on the side of what we call a low-hanging fruit. Many of the speakers have spoken about community engagement, involvement, inclusion, and ownership especially. Based on our experience also, we are ready to support what we call climate smart agriculture. It's something that can be developed comprehensively. And then a whole lot of things can be discussed under that. And then also there is one project that UNDP is even supporting now, which is very ingenious. It's called Nature Positive, supporting and developing the capacity of nature positive MSMEs in Nigeria. All those that are producing, selling products or producing products from using nature, using natural things. Many of them need certification because that is one of the reasons why they are not able to scale. They need certification, they need access to funding, they need access to, they need access both to in Nigeria and internationally, certification to be able to scale. These things can all be done. The one we heard the one for Southeast in Abia last year, and we have gone all over the country. And I'm sure that this can also, I just like the way that the Southeast is, carrying some of these things. So these are things that we can put together, in fact, immediately and take that to run with right away. Coastal communities, riverine areas development initiative is also an important area that can also be like a low-hanging fruit that we can do immediately to support some of the riverine areas. And then there is another program that we call the National Tree Crop Program, which we can also discuss and develop together with the SADC. And all these things will make the communities to know that now we are not just voting, we are not just voting people into power. We are voting people into power who are concerned about our own development.
Development Commission to get this going. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion from this session is clear. The Southeast Vision 2050 cannot be built on sinking sand. We have agreed that environmental resilience is not a nice to have, afterthought. It is the bedrock of our economic survival. We will leave here today with a mandate to integrate green infrastructure, strict land use enforcement, and regional ecological coordination into the SEV2050 master plan that we are developing. Managing erosion, flooding, and climate risk in the Southeast is not just an environmental obligation. It is a social, economic, and moral imperative. The data is clear, the impacts are visible, and the solutions are within reach if we act decisively and collectively. Let us therefore go forth from this conference and ensure that 25 years from now, our children will not inherit a wealthy region that is uninhabitable. This is a pledge that we all make, and I'm very sure that everyone in this room will support that call. My name is Sam Ifeanyi Hart, MNI, and I'm glad to have moderated this session. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.